Testing, testing. Are we testing? This probably looks cooler in my mind than it does on film. Okay, all right, we're not gonna do that. Hi, hello everyone. It's me, Ryan, back for more. Once again, trying again on YouTube. So, I'm so sorry. I think my last video that wasn't like a Sala salon was posted like, I want to say like March or April or something of this year. So months and months ago. As I record this, it's December 30th, 2021. So it's been a long time, and it's ironic because that last video was me being like, I'm back and I'm getting back on YouTube and I'm making videos, and I really did mean it because let me like introduce myself. Hi everyone. I'm Ryan Sala. I am an author of I have 2 books published. Hold on. Bedazzled, and let me grab the other one. Reverie, and I make videos about my life as an author and creating, and well, I actually don't make videos. That's why I'm making this video, because I had a really crazy year. Specifically, this like past summer was absolutely wild, and so I'm making this video to just quickly recap all the stuff that happened and kind of what's been keeping me away, and then to sort of re-up my my goal, my commitment to making videos in this next year. Okay, here I made a list of what's been going on. So I posted that video, my last video back in like April or May, and at the time I had just told my landlord that I was going to stay in my apartment, which he had asked like me for like another 12 months. Like, will you stay? And I was like, yes, absolutely. And I had sort of figured out a really good like setup for filming, and I was like, this is easy. I'll just like leave my setup in place. I'll sit down. I'll do like weekly videos, yada yada yada. And then my landlady informed me that she was selling the building that we both lived within. She was on the apartment upstairs. I was the one downstairs, and that I would need to be moving. The legality of this, very questionable, but the end result was that I did have to find a new place to live because my relationship with this lady dissolved very quickly. She specifically didn't like that I was like, hey, this is illegal, and in order to move, like, I'm gonna need either more notice, more time, or some sort of like assistance. Because she actually offered to sort of like buy me out of my lease. She didn't like that I took her up on it, and the result was that no matter what happened, even if I was like gonna go to court or something like that, I definitely wanted to leave. You don't really want to be someplace where like you're not wanted. So I did end up having to move very quickly and like very rushed in the middle of, I want to say like May. This all went down. April, May, June. Yeah, because come June 1st, I like had a new apartment. All the while this is happening, I was finishing my like revision of The Honeys, because I had gotten notes back. The Honeys is my third book, and it comes out this August 2nd, 2022. So if you haven't pre-ordered it, please do that. But at the time of the story, like the book wasn't fully done yet. I was revising it for my editor, and I had to get all of this done while finding a new apartment, while like packing up my old apartment, while like moving, and to like add a complication, my family had planned this trip to Arizona to see my brother, who I see like maybe once every couple of years, like very rarely, and so it was a big deal to go, and my family was totally prepared for me to cancel last minute. They were really nice about it, but like, I did not want to give that up. It felt like a bridge too far to kind of have to give up my home to like crash my novel, and then at the end of it, like to not get to actually see my family. And so I sort of did all of it in a really big rush and had to find the apartment that I'm currently in. So if my space looks different, it's because I'm in a new apartment that I absolutely love. And I'll do a video later about like the apartment itself. Anyhow, that all happened. I went to Arizona, I like came back. This landlady was a complete mess with her own move and had like miscalculated when I was leaving, even though I had until the end of the month. She thought I was moving out on the 1st, and so she like hired cleaners to come the day that I was moving. The day that I moved, the truck situation didn't work out with like the first moving company, and so they only moved some of my big furniture and then abandoned me, and I had to hire like manual laborers to load up a U-Haul that like I rented, and then the laborers were like 2 hours late, so I loaded up an entire truck by myself, and then they showed up, and then on the way to the new apartment, someone leaned outside of their car and shot a gun at us, but it was actually an airsoft rifle or like a paintball gun, and then my manual laborers got into a fight with that person, and I was like just trying to hold things together until finally we got to my apartment. They helped me move all my stuff upstairs, and I was here. I then had to acquire furniture because that's not something I had. And so it's been a very long time to kind of like get this place set up, and to a point where I feel like I can like sit down, pop open my camera, and film like easily, like a life update. So it took me months. I just reached the point where I was like, oh yeah, like I can sort of easily create without it like feeling like really labor intensive. Anyhow, after the move, come July, I was in my new apartment. My family every year will rent a place up in Provincetown, which if you're unfamiliar, it's in Cape Cod. It's like it's like, if this is Cape Cod, it's like the very like tip right here. And it's like this very, very queer friendly, like gay town, basically. A whole town of gay people. It's wonderful. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh my god, like, white gay guy going to Provincetown. How trite. And that admittedly is pretty true. However, my family has been going to Provincetown for eons, for years, ever since I was a little kid. Because my mom, like, looked at me, she took one look at me and was like, this kid's gay. And all of our family vacations in the summer were then, like, rerouted to Provincetown. So the whole family got, like, this mass exposure to, like, queer families, basically. And, like, that was us. Like, we would go during, like, we didn't always go during family week. I think my parents like typically didn't check to see what the schedule was, so sometimes we'd be there during family week. Every week is themed. Sometimes we'd be there during family week, but sometimes we'd go during like leather week or something like that, or like circuit week or something like that. It was an interesting childhood. Anyhow, we still have this tradition. We still try to go up every summer. We didn't last summer for obvious reasons, but this summer we wanted to make a big return, and so we rented this beautiful house like right on the main street, commercial street, and it was like a blast. It was tons of time spent with the family, at the beach, with my baby niece. Oh my god, who I love. And also then, like, at night when my family would go to bed, I would go, like, hang out with, like, my gay friends. Some of them were from Boston, some of them were actually from New York. It was really fun, and I did get coronavirus there. If I'm completely honest, I am pretty sure the thing that did me in was dancing to the Never Ending Story theme as it blasted, like, a disco remix on, like, the dance floor of, like, a gay bar in the middle of Provincetown. So if that's how I go out, so be it. Anyhow, I got back from Provincetown, immediately became so paranoid because I was, like, reading the news about, like, other people getting sick, and people were, like, texting me. So I got myself tested, came back positive. I didn't even have symptoms until a few days later, so I was like very early in like the testing cycle when I figured out like something was wrong. So I was able to isolate. So far as I know, I didn't give it to anybody, like not my family in Connecticut who I saw like sort of in between trips, nobody, which is a huge relief because personally, a big fear of mine is like inadvertently like being like the typhoid Mary of my family. I didn't give it to anybody and I felt really good about that, but also at the same time was like deathly ill, but only for about 36 hours, and then I recovered and I was fine, and I still have some residual symptoms. For instance, I've developed, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, but parosmia. I'll write it here. But it's basically this like syndrome where your taste and smell are distorted, and this could have been from coronavirus, or it could have been from the other big update that happened sort of shortly after this, my nose job. I got rhinoplasty. I'll get to this later, but the result of all of this is that like now my taste and smell, my taste is basically back, but my smell is like completely messed up, and certain things to me smell really different than they should. So I'll get to that later. Where are we in the story? I get COVID, I recover from COVID. Now it is about to be autumn, and the first thing that sort of happens in autumn is New York Comic Con! I was really lucky this year because my publisher, or New York Comic Con, I'm not really sure who, invited me to speak on not one but 2 panels. I was speaking on one, which is about fandom and like fan culture, and then I was moderating the other, which was specifically about like dark fantasy and romance. And then I got to do book signings for both and meet a bunch of readers, and it was awesome. The coolest thing about Comic-Con is that in addition to speaking and getting to meet readers and sort of see authors and just people in general for the first time in a very long time, I also created a cosplay. Readers of Bedazzled, like your ears are probably perking up. The cosplay that I decided to make was him from Powerpuff Girls, and if you're like familiar with Powerpuff Girls and the him character, he's like this hyper effeminate villain that is so dastardly, so diabolical that they can only refer to him as him, and he's a gay icon. Absolutely a gay icon. If for the fact that he's so hyper feminine and is referred to as him, there's such like a gender flux nature to that I love the character. There's a reason that I included that character in Bedazzled when Raffi in Bedazzled is choosing his like Controverse is the name of that con, but when he's choosing his like competition cosplay for Controverse, like there's a reason that he chooses him. And I really wanted to create it because I spent a lot of time researching for Bedazzled, and I don't think anyone really thinks this, but I sort of worry that people think that I just write about arts and crafts and like cosplay, and I don't actually like walk the walk. So I really wanted to show people that, like, yeah, I'm really into this world. I have a ton of respect for cosplayers, what they do, but I'm also that myself. I am also someone who, when push comes to shove, like I can sit down and I can like whip out a really cool costume. And so I decided to really commit to this. And for about a month, I spent, oh no, actually, it was 2 weeks. I only had 2 weeks between like when I decided to do this and when I had to like deliver it on the floor of Comic-Con. And so it was a pretty quick turnaround, but I kind of picked things wisely so that I could complete a version of the costume for Comic-Con, because the real thing that I had my eye on was Anime NYC. I wanted to make my him costume for that because that, my friend Christina like helped convince me, was something that I could compete in, which is something that I've never even thought about doing before. Despite writing about it, I was never like, oh yeah, I'm going to compete. So that was sort of my like long-term dream. So 2 weeks before Comic-Con, I like got all my supplies together. I like threw together this cosplay. Oh my god, at the same time, like quick aside, Clarabelle Ortega and I relaunched our podcast, Bad Author Book Club, which was called Celebrity Book Club. Now it's called Bad Author Book Club. So like if you're not following that, I'll put a link down below. We're reading Model Land by Tyra Banks and like commenting on it chapter by chapter like a book club, but taking it like very seriously, and it's absolutely incredible. We also have done like several like special episodes reading other really wacky books that readers recommend. For instance, Kissing the Coronavirus, which is an erotic novel about one doctor and her love affair with literally COVID. So anyhow, if you haven't like listened to any of it, definitely check it out. So anyways, relaunched the podcast, was working on this costume, only had about like 2.5-ish weeks to assemble everything, teach myself how to sew, teach myself how to use foam, and the costume came together and it looked really good on the floor of New York Comic Con. I sort of had one day wearing it, got like tons of photos, and it gave me a lot of insight into like how the costume handled and what I could make better for when I eventually competed with it the following month. So right after Comic Con ends, I like go back and start planning for like the new and improved version of it. Also, around this time, Entertainment Weekly ran an article on the Honeys, and I got to do like a full cover reveal, and like all the pre-orders started for that too. So that was really fun. It was actually right after Comic-Con, which coincided with me being allowed back on Twitter. I don't think I mentioned this. I didn't mention this because it was sort of like thrown into like the rest of the chaos that was my summer, but I got banned from Twitter, like permanently suspended from Twitter for posting TikToks that had Ariana Grande music in them, which, yes, is sort of like what TikToks are for, right? Like people dance and lip sync, but Twitter doesn't really like mess with that. They don't like basically being culpable in copyright infringement, which is technically what's happening when you're using like music you don't own and posting videos with it. And so it's easier for Twitter to kind of like delete users wholesale rather than like interfere with users and like delete their content and maybe get like sued by Ariana Grande. So they like I fully got like permanently suspended and like appealed it and waited around for a really long time and like pleaded my case consistently until finally in like October I got like a notification that like my account was back and I was able to use it. So this all happened like I like didn't I completely forgot about that. What a fucking mess. Jesus Christ. Anyways, next up in my life was rhinoplasty. Was a nose job. So I haven't talked about this before at all, but people who've known me for a long time know that like I really liked my nose. I didn't really have a problem with it aesthetically, but it wasn't too good at breathing. When I was little, I broke it, I think like 1 or 2 times at least, and the result was a lot of like strange breathing issues. I couldn't breathe out of like the right nostril at all, and I didn't know that for a really long time until a doctor like finally pointed out to me, and they were like, your septum is like super deviated and you must like get winded really easily. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I know that my nose is like a little bit like crooked, and I know that like I'm not especially prone to loving cardio, but like no, I'm fine. And they were like, no, like you're like not breathing like at full capacity ever. And so I went to a bunch of specialists. Lo and behold, this is all true. And one of the doctors in New York was like, oh, like, yeah, we can like fix this with surgery and your insurance can cover it because you have like, an actual issue. And if you want to make any aesthetic changes, like now would be the time because you don't really want to do like a ton of revisions on this. At the same time, they're like literally like breaking the bones in your face and like reforming you. So uh, getting you to look sort of exactly like you looked is also kind of hard. And so I did elect to make a few cosmetic changes, mostly just for like alignment. A lot of it was kind of necessary, but you know, a lot of it was also me thinking like, you know, it would be nice to have a symmetrical face. I have no issue with people getting plastic surgery. I think actually, a lot of people do get plastic surgery. Tons of people approached me like out of the woodwork being like, oh my God, I've got this, this, and this done. Like, I like was suddenly inducted into this like tribe of like people who've gotten like secret surgeries, people that you know. I don't know, people are so ashamed about it, and I feel bad about that because it's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Even if you don't have like a medical need like I did, that sort of makes sense of the insurance side of it, like you should just do it. And I did hear from a few people that they were like, oh yeah, whenever I tell people that like you had a breathing issue, they were like, no, that's not why. Like that's what they all say, like that's not real. And so to anybody who's wondering like why I got a nose job, it's because I could afford it. And you can't relate to that. Oh, that was awful. Anyhow, it's a personal choice. So I did go through with it, and I'm really glad that I did because now I sleep a lot better. I can breathe a lot easier. I'm still not going to do cardio, but like whatever, maybe someday. And when I do it, I'm going to be amazing. It was a hard recovery though. I had like facial paralysis like here, which is totally normal for like a pretty long time. I'm still sort of like getting mobility back in like some of like the like finer muscles, so my facial expressions are a little bit like different, and I still sort of surprise myself in mirrors. And the upside to getting rhinoplasty was that I had all of this time that I had to spend indoors, that I couldn't really spend like sleeping or reclining, that I was able to just spend on working on my him cosplay and getting it ready for the competition. So actually, hold on, let me go grab like some of the pieces. They're great. Okay, so for instance, I made this absolutely diabolical and grotesque crab claw to sort of simulate like him's, like he has like pinchers, like kind of like lobster crab claws in the character design, but I wanted to make this like really like grotesquely realized version of him, and I did a lot of like Victorian fabrics and more like Elizabethan, like brocades and like a ruff collar, things like that too. But I also wanted to create this like monstrosity attached to him's arm. Also, because all of this is like referential to Bedazzled, I also took a copy of Bedazzled and created like a spell book out of it that's like themed after the cosplay. And hold on, let me put this down. It goes through who I am, it goes through my inspirations. And the best part is that this is the passage where him is described in the book. And then these are the materials that I use to kind of realize my vision and take my passage and turn it into like a material reality. Anyways, at some point I'm going to do like a full video breaking down this costume. On the day of, I was so nervous for the actual competition, and I was mostly excited though because what a dream come true to actually get a chance to, you had to apply to compete. So even getting in to compete was a huge deal. My cosplay partner, Christina, I'll link to her Instagram down below, created an incredible Anglewoman, the Digimon, like the hot angel lady from Digimon. She created an incredible cosplay of that character, and like everyone was amazed by that. But we basically got together once a week for the weeks leading up to this. We would work on our crafts, we would talk, we would plan, we would concept, bounce ideas off one another, and she was by my side during the competition. She's also the character that Anea is based on in Bedazzled, because if you know anything about me, Bedazzled sort of like mapped from my real life, and so a lot of the people in Bedazzled are actual people that are like in my life. Not one for one parody, they're usually like mashups, but yeah, Christina is someone that like definitely inspired a lot of that book and that character. Anyways, the judging was like a dream. The judges were really friendly. They gave me a chance to kind of like talk about my costume. This is all during pre-judging, which happens behind the scenes before like actual like pageantry. And then getting to meet the other competitors afterwards was awesome. Getting to see the work up close is like a huge privilege in cosplay. Getting to see all the cool, all the cool stuff that people make is like amazing. Then it was time for the actual like cosplay competition, like the big performance. And I did my walk across stage, you like pose 3 times, the judges tabulate, there's like a long intermission, you watch the other competitors, you're brought backstage, it's like really tense and quiet, but you're like so proud and everyone's so encouraging, and then they announce the awards. And mind you, like I was very proud of this, but I entered the competition as a novice, and I was not expecting anything big out of it. And so I, at the time of judging, was mostly listening for meaning for like a superlative, because they do give out some like fun superlative awards that are like, you know, sassiest, things like that. And I was like, I could definitely get a superlative. I did not. I did not get a superlative. They go on to announce like best craftsmanship for the novices, intermediate, master, which is like the highest level, and all these people are getting called out, and it's just like me backstage, like, oh, that's fun, like that was fun, and then they get to announcing like the best in show, which is like across all the categories for all the competitors, and it can be anybody from any category. And I'm like, I'm looking at the people that are about to win this because they created like I think this from Monster Hunters. They created these incredible like LED light up transforming cosplays. Everyone like knew that they were going to win, but then they didn't because I won. I won Best in Show with my him cosplay as a novice. What the? It was nuts. It was banana land cuckoo banana crazy. I blacked out and then I sort of like came to on stage as they were handing me the award, which is this guy right here is my Best in Show award, and I like got to congratulate the other competitors. The judges congratulated me. I got like interviewed, and best of all, I actually was able to like talk to the other competitors after, either through like Instagram or a few of them like in person the next day, and like they were so warm about it. Like even the people that did the Monster Hunter look, like I think that they should have won. They should have gotten some sort of award. They did incredible. You know, even they came up and congratulated me. And anyways, it was a really cool experience overall. I do plan to do like a video actually detailing this costume and what I did to make it and what I think sort of gave me the upper edge in the competition. Do I plan to do more cosplaying? Absolutely. I will cosplay again. Absolutely. I plan to compete at some point, but I have like books to write and things to do and videos to make, and I'm going to prioritize a few of my other projects before I return to this world. Okay. All right. Anyways, then comes Thanksgiving, and then the news that I got right after Thanksgiving is that the Honeys was being pushed. Originally, the Honeys was supposed to come out this upcoming May, and I had a full tour lined up. I had all these events planned. I had all the marketing that was going to start for it. And then, because of like the global supply chain collapse in publishing, I learned that we were going to have to push the book till August, like months and months and months, which is wild to me, but also makes complete sense. And it was something that I was sort of expecting because authors talk to one another. A lot of my author friends have had their books pushed, so I was expecting this, and I do think it is the right move. I mean, first of all, it's the only move because it has to happen, right? Like, just because I don't like it doesn't mean that they can suddenly print the book. There's no paper. There's like a printing shortage. So yeah, it was inevitable. I will be grateful if y'all can just be a little bit more patient, and at the same time, I would also be grateful if you wouldn't mind pre-ordering the Honeys, because that is honestly so helpful. And if you're wondering why it's helpful, it's because publishers don't have a lot of data to sort of see how a book is going to do, but pre-orders are sort of one of the data points that like marketing and publicity use to basically rationalize like dollar spend on like advertisements, things like that that are going to eventually get the book out to people who don't pre-order books, right? Like by and large, people don't pre-order books. Like hardcore readers do, librarians, educators, some parents do, but for the most part, like readers as a population go into bookstores, they see what's good, they see what's popular, but what's popular is oftentimes like generated by hype well before a book comes out. So pre-ordering a book is very helpful because it's kind of is like the seedling of that hype. Just please help me, just please. Oh. And this all brings us to present day. I am working on my fourth book as of yesterday. I'm about 3,000 words in. And if you're curious about that, I've decided to document it in like a micro vlog on my TikTok, which I'll link below. So every day that I write, I'm sitting down to document like what I'm working on, how I'm feeling, like the other things that are like an accessory to my writing process, like cooking, going to the gym, taking care of myself. Things that I feel like are interesting and indicative of like what it means for like me, Ryan, to be a writer and like what writing a book looks like in my life. So if that's something that you enjoy, go ahead and check it out. As for videos here on YouTube, it's going to be more stuff like this, longer updates that have more to do with kind of like other stuff going on in my life. And in addition, I am going to start focusing on more like pedagogic videos. Am I using that word right? I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Instructional videos, things that break down like how I do like the writing that I do, right? Like how I approach outlining, character design, magic systems, all the stuff that basically I would include in like the workshops that I teach. So yeah, welcome back me. It's good to see all of you. If there's specifics that you're curious about in that long update, comment below. Make sure to like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. And I hopefully will be posting more updates soon. Hopefully by posting this, I'm not going to trigger like a repeat of my summer and like a 8-month hiatus and like potential eviction. God willing, that doesn't happen, but I will be back soon with more videos. Mwah, I love you. Goodbye. Happy writing, everybody. Woo! Mwah. Mwah.